2, 1.
Good afternoon. This is Math with Mr. Samuels. Today, students, we are talking about fractions, decimals, percents, how to convert between the two. This is just a quick review that we are doing before we dive into everything that we're supposed to learn this year in 7 honors. But I still want to make sure that we review this and understand it. Before you start this video, make sure that you have your notes. You should already have them from class. If you do not have them from class, go ahead and click the link down below that's labeled notes. You can print those out from home. So now let's go ahead and get started. So today we're talking about fractions, decimals, percent. So we can convert fractions to decimal and to percent. So how do we go from fraction to decimal? Well, we go from fraction to decimal by dividing the numerator by the denominator. For all of those who might be a little unsure, forgot over the summer, numerator is the top number and the denominator is the bottom number. So when we divide 9 divided by 16, we end up with the decimal. We end up with the decimal 0.5625. Okay, and so now we have to convert this decimal into a percent. And if you remember, when we're moving a decimal to a percent, we're going to move the decimal to the right 2 spaces. So right now it's right here. We're going to move it 2 spaces. So 1, 2. So 0.5625 changes into 56.25%. Okay, so now we're going to go the other direction. Now we're going from percent all the way to fraction. So we have 84%. And if we're going from decimal to percent, we move our decimal 2 places to the right. So now we're going to do the opposite. So when we're going from percent to decimal, we're always going to move the decimal 2 places to the left. So right now, 84%, the decimal is right here. We're going to move it 1, 2. So decimal form of 84% would be 0.84. And now we want to go from a decimal to a fraction, and the way that we do that is by reading it, then write it, then reduce. So if we read this properly, it would be read 84 hundredths. Remember that the first place value on the decimal side is the tenths. Then we move to the hundredths. So this will be 84 hundredths. So since it's 84 hundredths, we're going to write that in fraction form. Let's see if I can do this. Equation. There we go. Oh, we can't do that. Okay, well, no problem. So it's going to be a fraction. So I'm going to draw. So we have our fraction bar. It's a little too big. Let me erase that. Let's try that now. So 84 hundredths. So at the top, we have 84. And then the denominator, we have 100. Now, obviously, we can reduce this. And when we reduce it, it would then become 21 over 25. Okay, when we reduce this fraction, it will become 21 over 25. 21 over 25. So let's go down to the below. We're going to do 1 or 2 examples, and then you all will be responsible for completing the rest on your own. We will grade it tomorrow in class. We will grade it first thing tomorrow in class and go over it and make sure you have the answers. If you have any questions tomorrow in class, just please ask me. But what you're going to do is complete the rest of these on your own, but we're going to do the first 2. So now we're going from fraction to percent. So we have to remember, we have to divide the numerator by the denominator. So when we divide 9 divided by 20, we end up, when we divide 9 by 20, sorry, I have some issues over here. When we divide 9 by 20, we end up with 0.45, and when we change 0.45 into a percent, from a decimal to percent, we're going to move it 2 places to the right, 1, 2, and it then becomes 45%. Now we're going from percent to decimal. Right now it's 5%. We're going to move it 2 places to the left, 1, 2, and we're going to have an empty space, and we're going to fill that empty space with a 0. So now it's going to become 0.05. And when we read that out loud, it would be 500ths. 500ths. So when we write that in fraction form, it's going to be 1/20 after we reduce it all the way down. Okay. So once again, I want you to complete this chart. Go ahead and complete this chart, and I will post the answers in class tomorrow. Have a good time.